This is a true story about something that happened when I was a kid visiting my cousins at their ranch in Montana. Thinking about what happened out there still keeps me up most nights, although it's been almost 2 decades now. I've never been a believer in the supernatural, but I can't shake the feeling that what happened was my fault. The summer I turned 15, my parents let me spend that June and July with my cousins in Montana. My aunt and uncle owned a sprawling ranch complete with horses, cattle, and a million other things that a city boy like me was dying to experience. I'd always lived in the city, and I think my parents thought I was a bit soft, which was probably true. I was thin and not very muscular, the type that would rather read a comic book or practice theater than play a game of sandlot baseball. I had always had an interest in the outdoors, however, and was always jealous when I saw a picture of my cousins and the fun stuff they did on the ranch. So when my uncle suggested I spend the summer with them, I jumped at the chance. My dad and I flew up to Montana at the beginning of June. As we were driving to the ranch, I remember looking out the window and being in awe of the countryside, the mountains in particular. The land seemed so unspoiled, so natural. It was really breathtaking. When we arrived, a large black Labrador retriever greeted us with such enthusiasm at the front gate that he knocked me to the ground, causing me to scrape up my hands. That ended up being a metaphor for how my summer was going to go. My dad stayed several days to catch up with his brother and to make sure I was okay with my decision to stay. Once he saw that I wasn't changing my mind, he left, and so began my summer in Montana. My 3 cousins, Charlie, Abe, and Ethan, were extremely excited to have me there. Their closest neighbor was miles away, and it was nice to have someone new to play with. Abe was my age, Charlie a year older, and Ethan was only 12. Each morning, we would wake up early to get started on our chores for the day. I'd never rode a horse, herded cattle, or cleaned up horse poop from a stable, but I learned quickly and found I wasn't half bad at any of it. A really fun thing was that when our chores were done, we could do anything we wanted. Out there in the wilderness, you can run free and parents don't have to worry about you getting hit by a car, kidnapped, or someone trying to sell you drugs. Everything was ours for the taking. We swam, rode horses, and played until the sun disappeared behind the mountains. It was incredible. One day, about a week into my stay, Abe motioned for me to follow him. He wanted to show me something. My other cousins and I followed him over to an old well on the edge of the property.
"Chris, do you know what this is?"
Abe asked. He had taken a lot of pride in showing me around the ranch.
"Well, obviously,"
I said, laughing. I looked over at Charlie and Ethan, but they weren't laughing. Instead, they stood very seriously, looking in the direction of the well.
"This well is nothing to joke about,"
Abe said.
"A long time ago, one of the men who owned this property was murdered by his friend who threw him down the well. The friend was jealous of everything the man had."
He stopped for effect and then continued solemnly.
"The man is still at the bottom of the well and will come back up if you call him." "That's bull,"
I said. They were obviously trying to scare me.
"No, it's not,"
Charlie said.
"You can call him, but you have to ask the right way. It goes like this. Dunny O'May and Jackie Garee were sitting beside the well. Jackie threw Dunny right over the side and sent Dunny straight to hell. Dunny, oh Dunny, I call on you now. The time has come for revenge. Climb out of the well and send them to hell, the people I used to call friends."
Like I said, I was never a believer in the supernatural, but that creeped me the fuck out. I can still remember the exact words and the looks on their faces even today. A few moments later, though, they all burst out laughing.
"You guys are idiots,"
I said, laughing along.
"You should have seen the look on your face,"
Abe said.
"Okay, you got me,"
I admitted.
The kid that told us said that he knew someone that really died after calling the man in the well, but we're pretty sure he was just trying to scare us.
Charlie confided. After that, we didn't speak much about the man or the well, although I often noticed it looming on the edge of the property, watching over us like a silent sentinel. About 5 weeks into the summer, we were swimming and roughhousing in a nearby creek when things got a little out of hand. Abe had pushed me rather hard, causing me to slip on a wet rock and bust my chin when I fell. It hurt pretty badly, and I still have a scar there. I was pissed off and pushed Abe as hard as I could, causing him to fall as well. That turned out to be a mistake. Abe was the same age I was, but was in much better shape. Life on the ranch had made all of my cousins into tough, muscular kids. He got up and hit me right in the face. I tried to hit him back, but missed. He hit me again, knocking me to the ground. It was the first fight I'd ever gotten in. I tried to fight back, but he was all of a sudden on top of me, holding me down and hitting me over and over. After a minute, my other cousins pulled him off of me. My nose and chin were bleeding, and I'm a bit ashamed to say I was crying.
Is the little city boy gonna cry?
Abe said, taunting me.
You have to be tough if you're gonna live out here. That's what my dad says. Maybe you're not cut out to be a rancher. Take that back!
I said through tears.
No!
Abe said.
You're the one being a pussy!
It was the first time I had ever heard a kid my age say that word, but I knew what it meant. It stung, really badly. I watched my cousins walk away from the creek, leaving me there by myself. I was heartbroken. Honestly, I don't really blame Abe for what he did now. Fights like those just happen between kids. But at the time, it was like my world had ended. Now my cousins wouldn't want me there anymore. I'd have to call my dad to come back and get me early. It really was a disappointment. I hung my head and slowly trudged, wet and bleeding, back towards the ranch. When I got in sight of the house, the sun was just starting to dip below the mountains. I would need to be in for supper soon. I didn't want to go back inside yet. I had embarrassed myself in front of my cousins, but I didn't want my uncle to see me bleeding and crying. I took my shirt off and wiped my face as good as I could, then looked around for a place to throw it away. That's when I saw the well, still looming on the other edge of the property. When I got over to it, it was dusk. I sat down with my back against it, feeling the chill from the stones on my warm skin. I'd stopped feeling sorry for myself, was now seething with anger, picturing Abe falling into the well and not being able to get out. I knew that was terrible, but I couldn't help it. I remembered the rhyme Abe had said, and for some reason decided to recite it.
Dunny O'May and Jackie Garee were sitting beside the well. Jackie threw Dunny right over the side and sent Dunny straight to hell. Oh Dunny, I call on you now. The time has come for revenge. Climb out of the well and send them to hell. The people I used to call friends.
I sat for a while, and obviously nothing happened. I eventually dusted myself off and went into the house for dinner. The morning after the incident, Abe and I had already made up. Children don't hold grudges like adults do. It was honestly like it never happened, and I felt bad for getting so upset about it, even though it had hurt pretty badly. We were in the middle of cleaning out the stables when we heard my aunt yelling from the house. We all ran over to see what happened and found her crouched on the ground, her hand on Brutus, their black lab. He was dead. I could see he had a little blood coming from his nose, but otherwise he didn't bear any other signs of trauma. I heard my aunt crying later and my uncle trying to comfort her. Brutus was relatively young, they said. He should have had many more good years, and why was he soaking wet?
The creek was a way off, but he appeared to have been freshly submerged. That night, as I was lying in bed, a strange thought began to creep into my mind, but I immediately discarded it. It was just silly. Brutus had died from natural causes somehow. 2 days later, I found out I was dead wrong. Charlie, Ethan, and I were playing army men on the porch when my aunt came out of the house.
Have any of you seen Abe?
She asked.
He was supposed to help Dad in the barn, and he hasn't seen him.
We all shook our heads. We hadn't seen him for some time. 2 hours later, my aunt and uncle were in a panic. Abe still hadn't returned, and it was unlike him to disappear for hours by himself. My uncle had taken a horse and scoured the property, but Abe was nowhere to be found. The entire time, my heart was in my throat. I begged and pleaded to, I don't know who, myself or God or someone, to just let Abe come home. Surely he was okay. It was getting dark when I heard my uncle yelling from the edge of the property. My cousins and I ran toward him, not sure of what he had found. Of course, you probably already guessed where he was. He was standing beside the well with his flashlight pointed into the darkness below. When I got close enough, I gripped the curiously wet stone and leaned over, following the light with my eyes. There at the bottom, half submerged, was a crumpled boy of 15. It was Abe.